J. Christopher Stevens, Sean Smith, Glenn Doherty, Tyrone Woods. These 4 American heroes were killed by Islamist terrorists in September of 2012. That they died is a horrendous tragedy. What we do next defines us as a nation. The truth about Benghazi is still not known, and to this day, members of Congress and reporters are being denied access to the resources that could reveal the truth. What is being hidden, and why? The American consulate and CIA annex in Benghazi, Libya, came under attack on September 11, 2012, the 11th anniversary of 9/11. This attack had been foreshadowed for months leading up to the actual attack. At least 230 security incidents had been documented in Libya prior to the September attack. 3 days before the attack, Ambassador Stevens cabled Washington that Libyan militia warned him the area was deteriorating, calling the situation frightening. Embassy officials knew of growing tensions in the area. This was revealed in an interview with Congressman Jason Chaffetz after the attacks.
We were essentially the only Western flag flying in Benghazi. Red Cross had been attacked. The Brits had been attacked. They bugged out. Al-Qaeda was flying flags above government buildings. And this is Benghazi's not a very large town. And you had militias who were giving every indication that they were not going to provide security for us because we were supporting a prime minister candidate that these militias thought was anti-Benghazi.
Ambassador Stevens repeatedly pleaded for additional security and cables to his superiors in the State Department. When asked about Stevens' security request, Secretary Clinton said she never saw these requests.
Situation over there, sending this cable to your office.
If I could, 1.43 million cables a year come to the State Department. They are all addressed to me. They do not all come to me. They are sorted through the bureaucracy.
Certainly somebody within your office should have seen this cable, in my judgment.
Shouldn't an ambassador's insistent pleas for more security rise to the office of the Secretary? Why were Stevens' pleas ignored? Could this tragedy have been averted? The terrorist attacks on the American consulate in Benghazi begin about 9:40 p.m. Libyan time. It's 3:40 p.m. in Washington. Heavily armed militants swarm to the consulate. The consulate is set ablaze. The CIA annex and embassy in Tripoli are immediately notified of the attack. A flash message is sent to the White House Situation Room, the Pentagon, and the CIA. A small CIA team from the annex heads to the consulate. A few additional personnel from Tripoli prepare to leave for Benghazi. By 4:30 p.m. in Washington, Defense Secretary Panetta is aware of the attack. The president is notified and reportedly tells Secretary Panetta, "Do whatever you need to protect our people there." Just after 11 p.m. in Libya, 5 p.m. in D.C., an unarmed drone appears. The drone is transmitting pictures back to Washington in real time. By 5:40 p.m. in Washington, Secretary Clinton has called National Security Advisor Tom Donilon. She later speaks with CIA Director Petraeus. It's now midnight in Libya, and the consulate falls. Sean Smith's body is recovered and evacuated with others to the nearby CIA annex. Ambassador Stevens is discovered by the Libyans and taken to a local hospital where he's pronounced dead. The fighting continues while the Americans move to the CIA annex. The terrorists bombard the annex with rocket-propelled grenades, small arms, and mortar fire. A small team of 6 or 7 arrives from Tripoli early the next morning. Another drone flies overhead, but there would be no more American help for the Americans under fire in Benghazi that night. The battle continues for almost 8 hours before the CIA annex falls. 4 Americans are dead. More are wounded. About 30 Americans are evacuated from Benghazi. Why was there no American response? Secretary Panetta testified the president said,
He basically said, do whatever you need to do to be able to protect our people there.
General Ham, head of American forces in Africa, said he never received an order to deploy. Yet General Ham told Congressman Chaffetz American assets were available and capable of responding to the attack.
Hours and hours and hours, and yet it seemed as if our military was just not involved. And what became very clear, because I asked him a half dozen ways, that our military had proximity, they had capability, but General Ham looked me right in the eye and said, I was never ordered to engage in the fight. Now that's very different from what the President of the United States has said. That's very different from what the public statements are. But having sat with him, that's what he told me just a couple of weeks after the event. He had proximity, he had capability, but he was not ordered to engage in that fight.
Why were no orders to respond given? Could have additional help stop the attacks and save lives? There are many more unanswered questions about our response in Benghazi. Why did the administration's story keep changing after the attack? Why are lawmakers not permitted access to the Benghazi survivors?
I'm going to hold up the business of the Senate until we get the survivors on record. I've talked to a couple, and their story is chilling. They're scared to death to come forward without some institutional support.
The public has been stonewalled. It's time to create a select congressional committee to investigate Benghazi. The American public deserves answers. Please go to opsecteam.org and email Congress. Ask Congress to support a select committee to find out what led to 4 American deaths in Libya. The 4 Americans who died in Benghazi knew they were serving their country in a dangerous sector of the world. Like the countless others before them, they put their lives on the line so we might stay free. Our fellow Americans who serve us must know they can count on our support when our enemies strike. Our country is only as strong as the protection we provide our citizens, no matter where they serve us. To paraphrase President Lincoln, we must resolve to learn what we can so that these Americans, these 4 American heroes, did not die in vain.